I think a lot of people think they're missing out on their life and think they're missing out on so much stuff in their life because they think every single day is meant to be extraordinary and you'll remember every single day of your life when obviously no one does. Like literally no one can. And that's fine. And a lot of people try and control that when they can't control that. And social media doesn't help because it kind of reinforces how we see things as, we see everyone's big wins and everything. And in reality, that doesn't happen every single day, but you see it every single day if you're on social media. So you have to realize that it's okay and it's desirable to have days which aren't extraordinary and just neutral, normal days of your life. And that's fine. Like that's what you want really in your life. And today I'll explain why you do want that and why you should stop desiring those. You should stop desiring every single day to be extraordinary. And a large part of that is just being grateful for these like so-called unremarkable days, as I like to call them, because they are kind of unremarkable. Like nothing extraordinary happens in these days, and that's fine. Like it's fine to have those, and it's actually a skill to cultivate gratefulness and to realize what to be grateful for in your life, because it contributes so much to your happiness, in my opinion. And I've talked about this in a lot of videos before about cultivating gratefulness, about, for example, writing it down, writing three things you're grateful for down in like a book or something, or on your notes or something per day. Just write down 3 things you're grateful for, that kind of stuff. But yeah, this really is just a skill you have to build up, and it really makes you realize that it's fine to have these days, as I said before, and you learn and you grow from these days when you don't realize it. And that's the whole thing with like little habits, building up little habits. You don't really realize it in the short term when you look back on those days, but when you look back on those days in the long term, you do realize how much they meant and how you formed these habits which you do every single day. For example, going to the gym, whatever, and as a one habit, or like if you go for a run, if you meditate, if you read, if you do all these basic like self-improvement habits people talk about online, if you break them down and realize that every little bit a day does help, and being grateful for being able to do those habits in the first place really does increase and help your general happiness, in my opinion, and your general well-being, in my opinion, and your quality of life. And so really just cultivating this skill and realizing that it's fine that these days don't feel extraordinary. Of course it's not going to feel extraordinary if you cultivate these habits. This is where you gain the most. When it starts being repetitive, when it starts being boring, that's where you gain the most. That's where you become accustomed to the habit and you grow, and it will just benefit your life so much more than you actually think. And so I would say also one of the biggest things is shifting your mindset from you're thinking about days in terms of memorability instead of meaningfulness. Think of days as more meaningful, as in these habits you cultivate every single day, they're meaningful days. This means it doesn't mean it's memorable, but that's fine. It doesn't matter if it's memorable or not. It's meaningful, and that's what is beneficial for you in the long term. And all of this really just goes back to the compound effect, which I've talked about this on the channel before as well, about building little habits up every single day. And it's so simple, like you know this deep down, but having someone verbalize it for you is really useful. And really just understanding this in your brain, it's just so useful for you to just think about every single day, really. So yeah, I hope you keep this with you, and I hope you think about this a lot, because it really does help when you start to feel like, oh yeah, it's just you've wasted so much time, but you really haven't when you look back on a day and realize what habits you've done. And it doesn't have to feel remarkable. Just remember that social media might make you think that every single day has to be remarkable, it has to be like this. It doesn't. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something, and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.